Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be having a game featuring the Lord Commissar of Porn, who's doing the modern just have fun, no good luck. Guys, when did the Dawn of War 2 player base become so superstitious that they didn't want to give good luck? And let me just push a little further on that one. Not only are they superstitious, they apparently care a lot more about winning. And it's funny because the amount that they care about winning seems to be going up because they refuse to give good luck to their opponents. Yet the widest skill level in the game is on the decline. Riddle me that one. Riddle me that one, boys. Anyway, he's going to be facing up against Dingus Khan today, who's going to be rocking the triple Guardians, which is not that rare against IG. In fact, I would say actually it's meta. I think generally these days the consensus is that Banshees are worth it versus the Lord General, but probably not worth it against the Lord Commissar or the Inquisitor. Banshees will beat the Lord Commissar or the Inquisitor one-on-one in the other game, but the thing is it's very easy in terms of positioning for the IG player to simply rotate the Sentinel to support their hero, in which case the Banshees will then lose, and if the Banshees encounter the Sentinel early on, well, they can't really do anything, and they're just at the mercy of bleeding to it. You see right now Pawn is doing quite good, using his Sentinel along with his Commissar to put on a hell of a lot of pressure, and the timely upgrade for the Stomp there is going to allow this Guardian squad to be forced off without really much fret. The Guardsmen, on the other hand, have been running around just with 6 models, as you do in the early game. You try to keep only 6 models for as long as possible. That way you minimise your population, and in fact you stay under 30 pop at all times. And if you're under 30 pop, you pay 0 upkeep. So this is very important. But even later on, when you got your tier 1.5, the additional pop from the Sergeant and the 2 Guardsmen that he comes with makes it so that you want to delay it for as long as possible, regardless. Nice little bit of Sentinel control there, pulling it back through the middle to be repaired by the Guardsman. I'm getting a little bit scared right now though, because there's a lot of Eldar Pew Pew coming up. And I'm worried that the repairing model is going to block the Sentinel here. Oh my god, there you go. The upgrade of the Rangers tags it straight away. Nice play actually from Dingus to hide his Rangers until he got the long rifle upgrade at just the right time there. Just the right time to finish off the Sentinel. And Pawn has gone for a heavy weapons team. This is weird. You have the Imperial Guard, you can outtrade Guardians quite easily, at least in tier 1 prior to battle equipment and Warlocks, so I don't really see what the heavy weapon team is for. I wouldn't mind. Dingus isn't playing as the Farseer or the Warlock, so he doesn't even have a tanky melee hero. Well, insofar as you can call Eldar heroes tanky. So that's weird, and he also has no Banshees. So I'm really confused as to what the point of this heavy weapons team is. And I'm not familiar with Pawn. I don't know if this is like a regular player playing under an alias, because I was honestly quite impressed with his early game Sentinel micro. But as good as his micro is, I guess his macro's not there. He doesn't really... I don't know, the positioning and the strategy is both questionable. He should have seen that ambush coming on the Sentinel. I think it was a little bit greedy in the mid. And this heavy weapons team is bizarre. There's just so many things wrong with it. So typically you don't see Rangers, right? Fair enough. The Rangers being present makes this just a horrendous choice. But even where they're not Rangers, if the Guardian weapons team is under a energy shield, then it will handily beat a heavy weapons team of the IG anyway. Then you've got the threat of grenades from the Guardians, which can reposition around your arc of fire anyway with a fleet of foot. Even though they can't use fleet of foot into grenade combo like they used to be able to, which is a travesty. Hashtag make fleet of foot grenades a thing again. But yeah, you know, there's just so many things wrong with it. I don't know, I don't really get it. You don't really rely on vehicles in tier 2 as the Eldar against IG either. So like the AV scaling isn't particularly good. There's just nothing bloody good about the heavy weapons team, but we'll see how he uses it. Dingus not opting for any battle equipment yet. He's going for the 6-unit tier 1, which is actually quite typical against IG. Maybe we'll see a spotter squad coming out from Pawn afterwards, though Outer Reaches is a very easy map to defend your power farm on. I would say it's pretty damn safe. Probably not the safest, but it's pretty damn safe. So he might just try and fast tech off of this, but to be honest, it's a lot of power. If I was him, I would definitely be getting some spotters once I see this second shuriken here. Because upon seeing this second shuriken, he knows I'm facing 2 shurikens, rangers, and triple guardians. That's a heavy, heavy tier 1 to be going against without any spotters. And the spotters wouldn't mess up his economy too bad. I feel like if he got the spotters, he'd actually, assuming he doesn't bleed a lot, he would get to tier 2 at pretty much perfect timing in terms of his rec and his power. Right now he's actually going to be floating a lot of requisition. You only need 300 requisition to go tier 2 after all, and he's got nowhere near the power. But let's see, Dingus is a little bit slow here. Dingus has actually been quite defensive. I don't really know why. He's content holding the center here with his shurikens, but he doesn't even have a full farm yet. And he hasn't put any pressure onto the IG farm, so this is really quite odd. I would understand this play if he was building a second farm down here, but in that case he needs 4 gens. Or, you know, where it's 3 here, 1 at the bottom, or 2 on each. I forgot again to go offline. I always do this on Steam, it's so frustrating. Because when you open Steam, I'm invisible by default, but I'm not offline. So I just see that no one else can see me, and I'm like, oh, that's fine, let's start a cast. Then you're not offline and you get those Steam things. Oh well. Oh well. Maybe Adilla and Vindicare are fighting one another on Realms of Ruin. Whatever, let's get back to the cast. So, yeah, Dingus has made a fatal error here. He obviously hasn't realised it in-game, but Pawn is just able to go tier 2 now because he built those triple gens ages ago, and Dingus has not put any pressure at all onto the power farm. This is really odd. Very strange from Dingus. I don't understand this. Why he's playing so conservative. Even now Dingus hasn't built a full farm. What on earth? What? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand what he'd possibly be waiting for. Oh, this is really weird. Now he's moving his guardians way too far forward. He's clearly misclicked them. He just threw off a random grenade, which actually took Pawn by surprise there. Got a few guardsmen, tickled the Cadishans, but now the Guardian weapon team is setting up way too far away. And it'd be beautiful if he had a retreat grenade on these Guardians for the retreat path. This is one of the things that makes attacking power farms so difficult on this map. If you, oh my god, he's all reliable in his own guardsmen. Jesus Christ, he just killed 4 of his guardsmen with that. Fuck's sake. God, it's worse than the US military. So, yeah, the tricky thing here, you'll notice if you extend right next to the gens, so imagine if you're trying to destroy them with melee, when you retreat down this way, and it's very easy for the enemy to intercept you from the base and kill you on retreat. So you have to be careful, especially with grenades. So that could be tricky. Now, looking at Pawn's economy here, he probably should get some access to some grenades himself in tier 2 by picking up some assault kit stormtroopers. After all, this is a lot of light infantry as well, and he's floating loads of requisition. Assault kit stormtroopers are 400 rec and 15 power, so it's perfectly suited for his economy actually as a follow-up to the Chimera, and he does have transferable or transitional AV potential with his heavy weapons team, so he's kind of chilling right now. Pawn's build's really good. He's got the Chimera, he can load that up, and he can do another push on the gen farm, probably take it out. Defensive use of the heavy weapons team here looks pretty damn good. It's really stalling out this gen bash. Dingus was way too conservative on his gen bash. He clearly didn't realise the massive military advantage he had in tier 1. Chimera's been a bit brave right now. We're taking the bottom route down here. It's a little bit risky because you don't know what's coming out here. If a Falcon comes out or a Wraith Lord with a shoulder-mounted Bright Lance, shit, even if there's just Fire Dragons, that could be quite spooky. But now the Shuriken is in a really bad spot. We've got a Power Sword, Lord Commissar, we've got Cadishans with those power melee fists, and if you didn't know, the lead model on the Shuriken weapon team is actually heavy infantry. So, yep, they're going to take a load of damage, and they're going to get wiped in retreat, but unfortunately for Pawn, he wasn't paying attention over here, and perhaps that's how Dingus made his mistake. He wasn't paying attention to his Shuriken, he was too busy messing around over here, but it's all good. He wiped a heavy weapons team for his own Shuriken loss, so that's fairly even. We do see a Stormtrooper squad coming out now for Pawn. Of course, there are no... Oh, you know what he should have done? He should have been over here and he should have planted an IED. Could you imagine if he planted an IED here? Oh my god, it would be the end of both of these Guardian squads, and that could have been GG right there. But it's not going to be. They're going to get out alive. Now, those Guardian squads, they don't have any upgrades yet. They should definitely get some if Dingus is going to fully reinforce them and keep using them for combat. I'd probably fully upgrade one, and then I wouldn't bother with the other. I'd maybe just give them 2 or 3 models and use them for capping. The other one, though, if you're going to be using them in combat in Tier 2, they're actually very effective if you give them not only the battle equipment for the 33% extra health, but also the Warlock. The Warlock gives everyone in the squad 20% damage resistance, and that 20% damage resistance then stacks with the 33% HP boost. So the 33% HP boost from battle equipment also applies to the Warlock himself. So it makes the Warlock very tanky when he's got the extra HP and the 20% DR. At that point, even Commissar Guardsmen don't trade very effectively into Guardians, and that's without energy shields. So even though you're committing a lot of resources to something that only does piercing, it is quite effective. And over here it looks like the first blood of the Warp Spiders is going to be the Chimera itself. Obviously they're low on energy here. No doubt they will have ambushed that Chimera, which I hadn't seen them at this point. Hit them with a Haywire Grenade to snare it, and then wipe them out with the Bright Lance weapon team. Looking fairly bad for Pawn right now, if I'm going to be honest. Warp Spiders are a pretty nice tool against the IG, though they don't want to be out in the open. Wow, that was not a very good teleport from Dingus. Okay, fair enough. He has the heavy gauge Death Spinner. He's going to activate that so he can stun the Lord Commissar, prevent him from tying up the Warp Spiders in melee, but I still think they got a little bit close. Wait, what? Now we've got Melter Stormtroopers. Okay, this is just bizarre. I feel like Pawn doesn't have a clue what he's doing, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really shocked, because I thought his Sentinel Micro in the other game was really good. I liked that little bit of pressure. But to go Melter Stormtroopers now makes no sense. Look, they're not actually objectively inferior to the Hotshot Lasguns against infantry. Melter weapons ignore cover. So against an enemy in green covered, without doubt, these Melters will do more damage than Hotshot Lasguns. The problem is, they're really low range, so even if they do more damage, you have to get into close range with your enemy. You do get a little bit, well actually a pretty decent HP buff, 20% HP buff when you get the upgrade, but trust me, you need it, because you lose range with this upgrade, whereas the Assault Kit Hotshot Lasguns, they have superior range. So if you think about how much damage you're going to be taking, you take a lot less with the Hotshot Lasguns, and these guys can be very expensive to reinforce, but we'll see how they perform. I suppose on the other hand, it does give Pawn a bit more transferable A-B. There's a little bit on his Cadishans. You can see they've got 7 models, which means they do have their Sergeant. Oh, and here we go, the retreat path on Outer Reaches strikes again. A little bit late on your flare there, Pawn, Jesus. Drops the flare even after his Commissars died. They wouldn't have helped anyway, because you're moving into their range, not away from their range. So you can cut their range in half, but they're still going to kill you. Now, Pawn hasn't invested in Commissars in his Guardsmen, which is fair enough. He's just tech to tier 3. Honestly, I don't know how he's managed to preserve his gen farm, if I'm being completely honest. Seems a little bit strange that he has. Okay, Dingus is now getting onto it with his Warp Spider Exarch. Probably wants to drop an energy shield here and just delay for as long as possible. Pawn's in a bit of a tricky spot now if he hasn't queued anything up in tier 3. I don't know if he has or not. But if not, he's not doing that well for power, actually. He must have queued something up, right? Has he? Oh, he hasn't? Oh, that's bad for Pawn. This is a situation you really don't want to be in, where you've just teched, but you've lost your power, so now you can't actually make use of that tech. Now, normally that happens in tier 2. It can be a game-losing play, actually. But here we've got Pawn reaching tier 3 with a lack of power. Now, he does have some tier 3 options that are a little bit less power-intensive, namely the Kassakin squad, which wouldn't be bad, especially when all the threats from Dingus at the moment are light infantry. Those lasguns and the heavy infantry armor of the Kassakin will be very effective. Guardsmen just wiped down here by these forces. Pawn didn't notice. But ultimately, the Kassakin, they don't have quite the punch that a Lehman Russ can have. And the ideal option would be to get both. You're probably noticing in a lot of my casts, there's kind of a tier 3 1-2 combo that you can do. If you're a Marine faction, you get a Terminator squad and you get a Predator. And for the Grey Knights, that's no exception. You get your Grey Knight Terminators and you get the Vortimer Razorback. If you are the Orcs, you can get a Nob squad and then a looted tank. If you are the IG, you can get a Kasrkin squad and a Lehman Russ. This kind of thing could be extremely effective because generally the counters to one of those things are countered by the other thing. So to counter both of them, if your opponent doesn't have a similar 1-2 combo, very, very challenging. Anyway, Pawn's going to get that started with his Kasrkin. He's running out here with his Commissar, activating Lead by Example, so he's proccing those specials guaranteed, basically like the battle cry of the Force Commander. I think a little bit of a misclick there. Accidentally retreated his Guardians after they finished capping when he meant to retreat the Spiders. Maybe it was intentional, I'm not sure. But he could have kept shooting at the Commissar. This Commissar, only level 3 and with no armor, so actually if you look at his HP, given the stage of the game we're in, he's very fragile. Especially without his shield. So those Guardians could have put a lot of work into him. Activate the Scorch Beam on the Bright Lance. And then they'll do a little bit of damage to the infantry as well as debuffing them, so he takes more damage. I think he could have forced off the Commissar there, to be honest. But Dingus is playing a little bit conservative, which is okay. He hasn't seen that his opponent is in tier 3, but he should know. Pawn got that Chimera before Dingus even got tier 2. And Dingus never really denied his power, not for a long time. He just decapped it for literally, like, what, 30 seconds? Just like he did earlier as well. So he knows that Pawn is in tier 3, and now, of course, it is revealed that there are Kasrkin. Pawn here purchasing plasma guns, entirely redundant, with their horrendous visual effects. Quite strange. Oh, this is a lot of DPS though. Very slow retreat there from Dingus. Letting his Spiders get hit by an explosive shot from the Kadashans is really bad. Because you just teleport away. So I don't know how that happened. Decent grenade on the Kadashan Devils there. Did take out 2 of them, that's okay. No they didn't, I'm blind. That says 6, not 5. It's quite far away from me, but I'm going to admit, guys. Okay, we're seeing some Webway Gate play here from Dingus. That's going to stop the decap here for Pawn. And Pawn actually has a bit of trouble here because he's behind on VPs, on Outer Reaches, a map where it's quite difficult to take the natural VP of your opponent. And so when you're behind on VPs, it takes a very long time to bleed out 360 VPs from your opponent. I've got to be honest, it takes its time. We're gonna have to see. Ooh, nice grenade. Oh, and Dingus is not retreating them. Oh, and he retreats them too late. They were getting their Warlock as well. Again, very late on the Warlock. You can see here how amazing these Kasrkin trade with the Warp Spiders, because they've got more HP, they do more DPS. Well, actually, I don't even know if they do more DPS. They probably do similar DPS. With the Sergeant, they probably do a little bit more. But the other thing is, these Kasrkin are heavy infantry, like tactical Space Marines, so they actually take reduced damage from the piercing of the Spiders. Nice grenade though, that hurts. Killing 3 of the Kasrkin there, that'll be a little bit pricey to repair. Honestly, at this point, I feel like these Stormtroopers should be going on Spec Ops missions to constantly decap the natural requisition. I don't know why the Warp Spider just went into melee with with Kadashan Devils, of all things. That's a very interesting choice. As you've seen the result quite clearly there. Kadashan's absolutely annihilating him in melee with all of the fire support that they had. Of course, these Stormtroopers infiltrated here, so they weren't spotted on the approach. Now they're going to open up fire on these Spiders. The Spider's going to teleport away. The Rangers aren't shooting. I don't know what the Rangers are doing. Activating Hollow Field, interesting. Okay. Well, Dingus is going to win it. Seriously, Pawn needs to start using his Stormtroopers to constantly infiltrate and take this VP. If the Rangers are going to be up top, then that's just a no-brainer. Is this a rocket run? Ooh, that looks nasty. Kind of messed up the second run. But, hey, he got 2 wipes. Oh, Dingus's Rangers were stuck. I mean, I know Rangers often get stuck, but how the fuck were they stuck? They were like stood nowhere near the Weber gate. Normally they get stuck literally on top of the Weber gate. What? Very weird. Oh well. Well, that's going to be a pain for Pawn, because now they can guard the natural VP a bit. I mean, they will... Stormtroopers will just beat Rangers one-on-one, but at least you'll be able to detect them and then kill them with something else. Dingus going for the second Warp Spider squad after getting Seer Council. So Dingus right now, having lost his Bright Lance, doesn't really have any AV to deal with a Lehman Russ. And a Lehman Russ is indeed what's coming out right now. Pawn has been waiting a very long time to accumulate the resources to get this Lehman Russ out, and it needs to do work because there is not a lot of time for him. He's now down to below 65 VPs, and he's got a lot of VPs to make up on this map. A lot of VPs to make up. I don't see him being able to do this. There's just so many VPs to make up. He'd have to wipe Khan's army basically, and he doesn't have a rocket run, so it's like, how are you going to do that? Could think about getting the, oh god, what's it called? Emperor's Wrath accessory for the Lord Commissar, which basically calls in something similar to like a Manticore strike on a precise location. That can just wipe squads if your opponent doesn't micro. Real talk, with Dingus's micro, it's probably a good play. Probably not so good against a good player without setup, they'll just dodge it. But the way this game's been going on, that sounds like a pretty damn good idea to me. Anyway, we've got a massive fight here. This is not a great fight, really, it feels like, for Dingus Khan, because the Commissar is buffing up the damage of all these infantry with his lead by example. And you see the Seer Council are trying their best. They are only light infantry, but they do have an innate damage resistance against ranged, as well as a whopping 500 HP per model, but they are routed in the end after at least forcing off the guardsmen, which unfortunately for them were the lowest priority for it. Lehman Russ took a little bit of chip damage that can't be repaired right now due to the guardsmen being forced off. That chip coming from the haywire grenades. And it looks like Pawn allocated his Kassakin to defend the VP, which I don't like actually. I think he should be doing that with the Cadushans for two reasons. One, they can detect the Rangers to stop that kind of bullshit from happening. Two, the Kassakin are really important to have in your army versus army fights because they inspire. Meaning every time they kill an enemy model, they buff the damage of themselves and all the other units around by a small amount. Therefore, they are a force multiplier. And so their effectiveness is greater the bigger the fights that they are in. At least in terms of the amount of allied troops that you have with them. Meanwhile, the Cadushan Devils having their shotgun blast and ultra reliable, it basically means they can solo any squad. So they're an ideal choice to have guarding your back lines. But anyway, that's not what Pawn's doing. Dingus is now going to have to try and make a bit of a comeback. Pawn has definitely put himself into a decent spot here with a Lehman Russ, but he needs to get repairs on it pretty ASAP. Might even want to start considering dropping down bunkers. I don't know whether a repair bunker or a medical bunker would be better. Probably a medical bunker. He's got mostly infantry at the end of the day. He is now purchasing a second guardsman squad, and that will be useful, of course, in order to keep this Lehman Russ topped up on HP. So Pawn made up a few VPs there, decapping the natural of Dingus whilst taking the contested. The problem for him now is that he needs to defend his natural as well. He's got a split force. We've got a split action here. Ooh, Lehman Russ might be able to kill the Rangers. No upgrade on the Lehman Russ. Probably does want to pick up, well, really either upgrade would be great. If you're not aware, the default Lehman Russ is garbage in terms of weaponry. It's very durable, which is always nice, but the battle cannon on that default Lehman Russ, it splashes mediocre, and its rate of fire is abysmal. So it only does 17 DPS in actuality. If you upgrade it to the Vanquisher, it does 35 DPS, so we're talking twice as high. Well, the actual damage only goes up by something like 10 or 15%, but the rate of fire is nearly doubled. So if you want to take out enemy infantry, often the Vanquisher is actually better than the default cannon in spite of the splash. Especially when you're fighting things like that aren't tier 1 units, you know, like Warp Spider, Seer Council. These are tough boys. So the splash damage that comes out of the default Lehman battle cannon is mostly just negligible against them. They've got way too much HP. And not only that, the Vanquisher has longer range. But I think in this instance, since he's fighting so many infantry, the Executioner would be fine too. It's just, it's a little bit more risky because you sacrifice range. But of course, that would kill the infantry way faster than either of the other two options. It seems like Pawn lost his Cadishans at some point. I don't know how that happened. Dingus a little bit hesitant there to get onto the VP again. I guess he's not sure what's around. Obviously, we can see there's nothing around right now. I guess Pawn waiting for his Cadishans in order to go deal with the Seers. They're a good choice for the late game. He already has a Kasrkin squad. You can only get one of them. The Cadishans are decent at controlling melee. Unfortunately, did miss his old reliable there, which is not great for him. Yeah, gonna rotate fucking everything down. Why is he rotating everything? Pawn! He must defend the top VP. I don't think you need to rotate everything. I thought, oh, he's just sending the Lehman Russ down too. That'll definitely force them off, sure. I'm sending everything. Okay, I don't know why Dingus is being quite so conservative. Now he's advancing. Setting up a load of energy shields. Nothing wrong with that, but... surely he's seen all the other shit attacking his, Wait, did he... He didn't fire both of his hairwires? What the fuck? Dingus. I think he just realised now. If you fire both of the hairwires, you will immobilise the vehicle because you've got a double snare. And then you're immobilising it within the range of the Bright Lance, which is currently buffed in damage and range because of the Crack Shot ability, but shut down there by the Flare ability of the Commissar. And Stormtroopers infiltrating for not really a whole lot of reason. I really, if you're watching this, bud, you really should be using these Stormtroopers to constantly harass this natural VP. Because Dingus is not doing a very good job defending his VP with Rangers. Oh, so we got another Haywire here, plus an Eldritch Storm. Gonna wipe out the Lehman Russ, but oh my god. This is, whoever wins this fight, it's going to be a Pyrrhic one. They've both lost an absolutely ridiculous amount of units. So one of the Guardsmen being killed there for Pawn and the Lehman Russ. Was there something else? I'm not sure. Dingus lost his Lance and one of his Spider squads. And now he's going to be getting an Avatar of Cain. It's not too bad for Dingus. He's got a lot of time still. 250 plus VPs. So the big build time on the Avatar of Cain, not too scary. I'm not sure how effective the Avatar of Cain will be. I guess he's already got Seer Council. He'd rather get like a second Seer Council. I'd rather get a second Seer Council. But you can't. They're also capped at 1. So I guess it's going to be the Avatar of Cain. He'll be tanky. If nothing else, he'll be a tanky boy. He'll take a while to get rid of. That will help Dingus put pressure on that might enable him to cap some VPs. It's going to be Ogrins for Pawn. Now he is in tier 3, so he has the option of upgrading to Bullgrins, but generally Bullgrins aren't particularly good against melee threats. Bullgrins are more of a frontline tank. Sort of like you want a Lehman Russ, except the enemy's got too many sources of AV, so instead you send in Bullgrins to tank their damage whilst your ranged units pew pew. That's what Bullgrins are all about, but they don't have the knockback on demand that Ogrins have because they don't have the use your head ability. So that's problematic for them, and they don't have the same sort of knockback spam. So they actually could perform worse in melee. So it's not ideal if you're going to be fighting Seer Council and Avatar. Maybe he's just going to keep them as a normal Ogrin squad. I don't know, we'll see. The Bullgrins, I mean, they would be very good at capping VPs. They have more HP than Ogrins, and they also have a passive damage resistance against ranged. So, I mean, super heavy infantry as well, which both Ogrins and Bullgrins are. They basically take no damage from piercing anyway, but yeah, with the Wart Spiders attacking Bullgrins, they're not going to do any damage to them. It's going to be relying on the Seer Council and the Avatar. We're getting Bionic Eye. I think we should definitely be seeing the Aura of Discipline as well to heal up the Ogrins. We'll see. Bionic Eye could also be useful on the Kadashan Devils. So you'll see here, not only does this have the normal execute effect, which is 100% extra damage at the cost of not being able to retreat for a bit, but when you execute someone with a Bionic Eye, wow, that did a lot of damage, holy shit. Oh shit, he's got no VPs. Oh yeah, he lost, damn. I don't know why he was attacking the natural here when he has so few VPs when he could have gone for the top. Pawn didn't play this very well. The whole time he should have been harassing this natural, but there were just so many weird things in this game. I mean, Pawn is obviously not a very experienced player. But he did alright. You know what? Like, Pawn's micro is pretty damn good. It's just, it feels like macro-wise, he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Though also, some of the flares were amusing. Dropping them too late after your things have already died. Oh well. Hey, at least he's remembering that the global exists. That's a good sign. He'll get more used to it, and he'll be dropping them in the most timely of manners in the future. But anyway, there's a bit of Eldar versus IG for you. Hope you did enjoy that one, folks. We don't get to see a lot of this matchup, I feel. Torpid signing out.